Hey, what up? Gonna show you how to rebuild a wheel cylinder today. Haven't done a video on this yet. I've done a bunch of them, but yeah, what the hell. So we got a wheel cylinder here. It's actually not in that bad a shape. This one was one I replaced, and it lasted for I don't know, a year or two, and then started leaking. So probably not even gonna have to hone it, which would be awesome. First things first with wheel cylinders, if you're going to rebuild them, if you're going to actually take the time to rebuild them. I'm doing this because I sold that truck and I got the hub off and it needs a wheel cylinder and I don't have any. So it's just leaking, like where you just pull the boot back here and it drips. Yeah, so it's not like spraying everywhere, but it needs to be changed. So instead of pulling that one off and rebuilding it and letting all my fluid drain out, I'm going to rebuild this one and we're going to swap it out real quick and lose just a little bit of fluid. So let me put you in our holder here and we'll get down to business. With the wheel cylinders, there's two kinds of rebuild kits you can get. There's the old American made ones and the Chinese ones, and I've got an example of both here. These are the Chinese made ones. And the thing about it is the spring, okay? You've got a straight coil spring, silver in color. And I mean, all the rubber parts are basically the same as your American counterparts. In fact, I like the outer boots on the Chinese ones a little better. And then you've got your cups, which are, you can't tell the difference by looking at them. Then you've got your old American made ones. Now they're in a different kind of packaging, you see. Even says USA right there. So comes with instructions, and the big difference here is the spring. So you've got a spring that's much wider at both ends, and it's kind of it supports the cups better because it's the same shape and size as the inside of your hydraulic cups. So these tend to last longer without leaking. So yeah. Now your wheel cylinders, I really don't want to open this, but if you look at your cup or your end covers here, they're kind of like really rounded. They're not the same shape as the old ones. These are more kind of squared, if you can tell. Now this, I think, was probably a Chinese wheel cylinder. I don't remember, been too long, and it doesn't say anything on it anywhere as far as that is concerned. So usually the Chinese ones will say China on them somewhere. So I don't know if this is Chinese rubber or not, but it's certainly the Chinese end covers are the same shape as these, so I don't know. So we want to peel these outer boots off. Well, first of all, if it's kind of dirty, it might be a good idea to hose it down a little bit. We'll do this over here so I don't have a bunch of dirt on the stand there. Or my tray, not stand. Okay, nice and clean-ish. Scrub this back plate here a little bit with a brass brush. So now you can pull your end covers off, and if these are good, don't throw them away. The US made ones, I don't know if this is or not, I think it is. The US made ones last longer than the Chinese ones. In fact, I've reused these a few times. Not these particular ones, but. So when you get them off, you see you got your pistons in here. These should just come out. Yep, just like that. Huh. It's awful dry in here. There's the other one. Yeah, but it has been used because I see the, I don't know. Is down in there? You can't see that. But it's awful dry. There's like no fluid at all. But, you see the cups have not pushed themselves back out. They should. Which means the spring in there is weak, bad, or something. So yeah, I see fluid down in here. So you got to get that out. And okay. Ooh, all right. See, you've got a. Okay, this must be Chinese because it's a straight spring, but it's got these metal cups on the end, which is interesting. I haven't seen that. Awful weak. So that's why this was leaking, is because it didn't. Actually, there you go. There's a cup right there that was leaking. It's got fluid on this side of it. Usually they do that because they won't expand back out, and they get a little cockeyed. Right now I'm just flushing out the inside of the bore. And you want to look for pitting and scoring. Pitting will be obvious, scoring can be light. And I see none of either in here. Maybe some very, very super light, some staining, not pitting, but I don't know if you're going to be able to see in here very well, but see, yeah, some staining right there in the bottom left section you can see. That's not pitting, just some staining, and there's no, that's just a piece of debris. There's no longitudinal scoring. This bore is nice. This doesn't even require honing. So all we're going to do is clean these cups up and see if they say anything on them. Uh-huh. Focus, you shit. You sin. Oh, I do sin. Yes, I do. Did last night, in fact. 1 3/8. So, definitely Chinese. I called that once I saw this, didn't I? So we're going to replace this entire kit. And since it's a Chinese wheel cylinder, it's going to get a Chinese kit. You see there's a... Focus. There's damage on the lip there. That's exactly what happens to them. That's not from me pushing it out. That's from this spring not wanting to push it back out, and because it doesn't want to push out evenly, it cocks it sideways and it fucks up the little lip on them. So the pucks you can inspect. I hate how it just doesn't focus. You can inspect the sides. You're going to see a little bit of like, it's not going to be mirror smooth, right? It's Chinese. It doesn't need to be mirror smooth. It just needs to be like not scored. Nothing you can feel that like catches a fingernail or anything. And these pucks are actually in really good shape. So, Senor Chinese kit. Now, first make sure you discard all of your old pieces so you don't accidentally confuse them with your new ones. You put old leaky shit back in. So we're going to discard these. We know they're Chinese now. And we're going to open up our kit. Now, let's wipe down our surface here again real quick. You don't want any debris here. And I mean, it doesn't have to be clean room clean, but clean is necessary, or you know, whatever. So here's the difference here. You got more coils on this spring, and it's still not very strong, but in fact this one feels stronger than this one. That's terrible. Alright, can we get this off? I'd like to use these end cap things if I can on the new spring. Although I think these caps are probably what caught inside the bore. don't think these are gonna work. It just sucks because, like, that's not, it doesn't go very close to the outside of the thing, you know? So. Oh well. Shit. It is what it is. You gotta have some brake fluid to put it together. I thought I had some right here. Apparently I do not. Where is my brake fluid? See it on the other side of the shop. Hang on a second. I got it off again. I'm not bringing it along for that. Alright, .5 brake fluid. Now look, a lot of you guys think you want to use .3 because it's cheap, it's easy to find. Look, this is a full drum brake system, okay? And your master cylinder is hard to find sometimes. They're getting expensive. This is a dual circuit truck, so they're really expensive and hard to find. You know, on the single circuit trucks, the master cylinders are still only around 90 to 125 bucks, but they used to be like 30 bucks. So they're getting more expensive, getting harder to come by. All your brake lines, your hard lines are steel. All your wheel cylinders, I mean, look, .3 and .4, everything but .5 is hygroscopic. It absorbs water from the air. Okay? So within a year or two, you've got a certain percentage of water in your brake fluid when you use .3. That's the last thing you want in all of your wheel cylinders and in the insides of all your brake lines, especially on trucks that only have single circuit brakes. A little bit of rust can get you killed on the highway, or kill somebody else, or kill you and somebody else. So the .5 brake fluid is fully silicone based. It does not absorb water, period. It won't mix with water, it won't pull water out of the air, it won't do anything. And it has a higher boiling point, so better braking once your drums and all get hot. You don't have as much brake fade. So if you want to use .3 in your system just to save some money, I mean, you're taking your and others' lives into your own hands, and that's really not fair to the other motoring public. The reason the military spec .5 for these trucks is because even in the service they sat, in civilian ownership they sit, and the brake systems are really sensitive to water. So you know, keep your safety factor up, spend a little more money on the proper fluid. If you buy it by the gallon, you can get it cheaper. Get it from BigMike'sMotorPool.com, our sponsor. He sells it by the gallon, and he's got a really reasonable price on it. So enough with my safety rant. You want to use this to lubricate your new parts, yeah? So we're going to use our finger here, our dirty fingers, and just get our finger a little wet. We're going to rub the inside of the bore down with it. Get some more nice liberal coating, not dripping everywhere, but good and lubricated. We're going to do the same thing to our cups, right? And you want to get on your sealing surfaces here. You can just get the whole damn thing moist if you want. I know a lot of people don't like that word, but it doesn't bother me. Moist. Why does that bother people? So you want to push the thing in there from one side. Look, if you try to take this, and by the way, the flared side goes in towards the center, okay? If you try to take this and put it in here like this and force it in, you're going to end up damaging the lip, number one, or you're just going to have a generally hard time. So I generally go in with the opposite side first and push one all the way through, then you only have the chance of damaging just the one that you have to put in this way anyway on the other side, instead of chancing damaging both. So you put your one in, take your spring. See, that sucks. The spring ain't even trying to put... Okay, there it went. Huh. Even that back up. Take your puck, lubricate it as well. And put it in. Now that's the side that we just forced that cup down into. And we just push the cup back in, and we're going to stick our finger down in here and push your rubber cup all the way even up against your puck, so it's flat. Kind of like seating a piston ring to get the end gap with a piston that you don't have installed yet. We're going to take our spring and put it in. Take our other cup, lubricate it everywhere. Just put this where you can see it. Now we're going to carefully work these. See how it wants to pop out? You have to be careful not to damage those sealing lips. Okay. Now it helps that the wheel cylinder, we just got that in there. It helps that the wheel cylinder has a beveled edge around, but sometimes you'll have like a ding or something, or a cast flashing spot or something there. Rough edge, whatever. It just takes a little bit of a rough edge to damage that. Okay, so we got that. We're going to take our other puck. We're going to lubricate it as well. Put it in. And you just want to push them in until they're flush. You don't have to go any farther. Then you're going to take your new end caps. No need to lubricate them, they're just dust caps. Work those on. Same thing on the other side. And ladies and gentlemen, you have a freshly rebuilt wheel cylinder. Now, obviously, I didn't have to hone this one, okay? A lot of times, you're gonna have to hone your wheel cylinders. My advice to you, if you've got to go through that wheel cylinder more than, I don't know, 10 strokes back and forth, in other words, 10 forward and back motions, you're probably best off not using that. Because if you've got to take enough material out of there that you've got to go more than that to get the pitting out, what you're doing is you're expanding that bore. And with a hone, you're not expanding that bore evenly, okay? It's those fingers are moving everywhere they go, even with the 3-stone ones. So you end up with a non-concentric bore, which ends up leaking anyway or sticking one of the pucks. And with the bore being larger than it should be, your washer or your cups, they don't seal like they should, and they end up wearing prematurely and then leaking or blowing out altogether. And it can happen very quickly. So let's see if I got some. Okay, so this is an old US made wheel cylinder. So let me see if I can show you an example of pitting. No, this one actually looks to be in really good shape so far. Oh, it's been rebuilt. Chinese spring, I think. Might just be a different manufacturer. Yeah, it says made in USA on the cup, or on the, yeah, the cup, so. Interesting. Wow, this one actually looks really nice inside. So, it's not always rust and debris or scratching in the bores that makes these things rust or leak. Sometimes it's just, look at that. There's some staining once again, but that is not pitting. Right in the middle. Sometimes it's just that these cups get so old they leak, and I mean that's the thing about drum brakes. Is there, you know, I've seen a lot of people talking about going to disc brakes on the Deuces lately, and it's a great idea because they don't tend to have the failures, and they're not as intense to maintenance intensive and difficult to repair as drum brakes. So I mean, these just go bad over time. These little bitty rubber edges is all that holds, you know, 1,800 psi of fluid in the bores. You really don't. Brake calipers don't leak like that often. So I'm going to rebuild this one too. So, but I'm not going to show you that because this is just another one I don't have to hone. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Hope this is helpful to you. If you do need parts, Big Mike's Motor Pool, our sponsor, carries the wheel cylinders complete, and he also carries rebuild kits. I don't know if he has the US made ones anymore. He might can order them or find them if you have to have US made ones. I do know he carries import ones, Chinese ones. Don't know what kind of springs they have. I've had these rebuild kits for years, and I'm just now using them. So, yeah. Appreciate you watching, guys. Also, if you want to paint these things, which I generally do before I put them back on, RabcoParts.com. Later, dudes.